Alright, there's part 2 of my top 100, 90 through 81. Now for the reasonings, I'll try to keep these shorter this time because it wasn't quite as good last time. I don't want this thing to be 18 minutes. But number 90, this one actually didn't have the name, but since I'm talking about it here, I'm not going to add it in post. It's Close Encounter by Pegboard Nerds off of their Lost Track EP. And spoilers, but there's not going to be as much nerds on this list as you guys think there might be. But we do get a song here that was not, it would not have been on my top 100 last time, even if I did have EP songs, just because I didn't think too highly of this song. But it's a lot cooler now than I used to think it was. I used to, for a while, I was like, oh, this is a cool drop, and the rest of it's kind of eh. But like, I've come around to the world building that the nerds did in the drop. It kind of reminds me a lot of, this is a weird comparison, but it reminds me of Possession by Kuro a lot. And honestly, I just think it's a great song. Don't expect too much bro stuff on my list, but there's that. Then we have at number 89, Shadow by Buster. This is just really dark. Like, it's like kind of a mix between neurofunk and tech step, but like, it's really unlike anything else I've ever heard. It's unlike anything Buster's ever made, and I just think it's totally top notch. It's a great song, one of the darkest, if not the darkest song on the entire label. So, you know, hats off to Buster for making that. It's one of my favorites. It's made very well, and it's original. What more can you ask for? My number 88 is Calling Out by Muzzy and KG featuring Skyel. This is a weird song. Muzzy, generally, I prefer his epic stuff to his normal stuff, quote-unquote. So, like, Breakaway, his song with voice shins, I forget the name of. Back to You, that's the name. But this is an exception because this is a weird song. The structure is incredibly weird just because of how much room there is between the first drop and the second drop. The vocals are added in weird places. Even though they repeat, the backing changes so much that you kind of tend to ignore that. The beat, the break beat that Muzzy uses is really weird as well. And all of this creates a song that you know, this is a song unlike any other, if that makes any sense. My number 87 is Video Boy by Solero. I'm going to call him Solero because I'm pretty sure that's correct. This is an emotional song. There's going to be a lot of emotional songs on this list. I'm just forewarning you now. But Video Boys are one of the best in the label at doing it. I wish there was more vocal chops, to be honest, because Solero is really good at doing that. But the lead that he uses is really good. The one drop structure, or I don't even know if you can really call it a drop as much as you can call it like a climax. But it's phenomenal. The best part of the song, in my opinion, are the hats that he uses. I don't even know if you can call those hats, but I've never heard them in any other song, but it's perfect. It's unbelievable how well they work with the song, and because of that, it's one of my favorites. At number 86, we have Here by Eminence. If you're noticing, this list was this 10, it was 6 songs that are emotional and 4 songs that are really heavy or dark, or both. And this is obviously one of the more chill ones. It's got Annie Yvette's vocals. It has Annie Yvette's vocals. Man, I'm stupid. And they're very good as per the norm from her. Both drops are different. Both of them are both great, and they're both different. And like, that's about as good as you're going to get, especially in a chill song, where generally in chill songs like this, you don't get very much variation. So it's really interesting to see that here. My number 85 is Inertia by Draper. This is pretty much a fan favorite. I don't have a whole ton of fan favorites on here, especially from newer albums. I guess that's not 100% true, but like, I don't know. Inertia is one of those songs that's pretty much well loved by everyone, and for good reason. The lead is perfect. It's a very glitchy, stop-starty song, but that's great. And it just works really well with Draper, but just with his style, with his vocals, chop style, with that typical Draper melody that you hear in the final drop. And it's just a hell of a song. Euphoric as all hell. My number 84 is Messiah by Laszlo. This one is just incredibly dark for Laszlo, because you expect Supernova and not Tribal, that's like a terrible example, but Home or Airglow or anything off of the Closer EP. They're just like very euphoric and uplifting. And then you have this, which is just like really dark and experimental. This was out of nowhere when I first heard it, and still to this day, if Tribal didn't exist, I'd have a hard time believing the same guy that made this song made the rest of his catalog. But it's great. It's one that's really risen on me, and it's just, I think it's totally worthy of being in the top 100. My number 83 is actually, here's some spoilers. This is the only song on my entire list that's listed as a remix. It's the Soulja remix of Sweat by Karma Fields. And I don't know who Soulja is. I don't know if we'll ever see him or them or her or whoever again on the label. But I'd love to see it because this is a phenomenal remix. Part of the reason why I don't like the original very much, besides the fact that I just feel like it's a little empty for my taste, is that this remix does it way better than the original does. It's incredibly industrial. It uses the samples from the original very well while still transforming it into a completely different song. And I could go on and on about how this is, in my opinion, one of the best remixes I've ever heard. And yet it's only 83 on the list. My number 82 is Guardians by AU5 featuring Fiora. Right, yeah, Fiora. It's not Foria because Foria is a producer. This song was in production for about 8 years. That should be pretty well known at this point. And it's kind of hard to tell, but at the same time, like, it's definitely one of AU5's best in my opinion. And sure, it may be because I'm a sucker for this kind of house, but the progression that this song takes, it reminds me a lot of a Nigel Good song, and that's a pretty high compliment coming from me. It starts off really soft. It goes into a pretty minimal drop and then goes full euphoria. I wish it didn't repeat in the second half of the drop or the second half of the song, but what can you do? I still think it's a great song. And my number 81 is Bad Pitch by Insane Like. I'm going to assume a lot of people are going to be surprised that this is as low as it is. But like I said this with To The Sun, don't expect too many older songs on here. That's just because I've come around to the newer stuff, and generally the newer stuff has better production than the older stuff. And while that's still somewhat true here, Bad Pitch doesn't like an electronic masterpiece. You're not going to confuse Insane Like's old stuff for Deadmau5 or Alan Moore or Culprit. But I think it's still pretty well produced for the time, and everything else is pretty much spot on. The atmosphere of the song is perfect. It has a lot of variation. It even goes dark at some point, which is not what you'd expect from Insane Like, especially his early electro house. And overall, I think it's just a really quality song. It's not, I think I had it at number 6 in my top 100 last year. It's, as you can see, it's not anywhere near that high anymore, but it's still a song that fully deserves to be on this top 100.
Damn.